So I think as in the last part, the last couple of videos I did, yeah, right, Michael, 2 videos. I might Hi, and welcome to another session of Farming Simulator. My name is Michael Hansson, and this is the story of our farmer, Mike Hansson, who is about to load this pallet here on top of this pallet here. So be prepared to seeing some really nice handiwork and probably a lot of tipped and dropped and yeah, you know, all the things that shouldn't happen will happen. So welcome. This time I won't let you go in and get a cup of coffee. I might need your help, so please stick around until I'm finished. I would say that went pretty well. Alright, let's get the next one. It's still hailing and lagging. We won't be able to do any farming this time. Nice and quiet. Like I told you in the last video, I actually do have a truck license in reality. I'm licensed to drive these forklifts and any subtype of forklift you can think of. I can drive those, but as you can see here, it is definitely not the same as driving one in real life as it is driving one here. Although it has helped me a great deal to load them like this. Now you see, here's the problem. I can't really see what I'm doing here, so I'm going to get to the outside view. Yes. I would like to say that I'm getting pretty badass at this, but yeah. As you all say, please don't jinx it. As you probably can imagine, I don't know, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but in real life you have a much better feel for the position of the forks with respect to, well, to be honest, with respect to anything else, but with respect to the pallets. But the nice thing about this pallet, this lifter here, the clock model, is that it is much easier to actually get the pallets the pallets standing nicely on top of each other. When I worked as a warehouse employee and drove these trucks professionally, it was actually mostly electric trucks that I drove around, not diesel trucks, but we did have those large diesel trucks like this. Because you need those in order to move around large pallets. Oh, not that. Let's see, where can I put you? He's going to take the heels, so I'm just going to see if I can put him in here somewhere. Yeah, let's put him in here. There you go. Alright, so we got all the pallets. Oh yeah, of course. How stupid of me. So let's get started on this video. In this episode, I think we are going to... well... I actually think we're going to spend most of the video, and that is with that respect, so not the video, because I'm going to pause the recording, on fast forwarding the time. Because we can't actually do anything. We can't actually do anything while it is hailing. So we're gonna get rid of those annoying hails. And then we are going to, yeah, I don't know. Alright, so I think the plan is that we're going to get rid of the hails, and then we're going to use this bad boy here for fertilizing the fields. And then we're going to see what happens next. So, well, why don't you head inside the house there and get yourself a cup of coffee, and then we will see each other again when these hails has passed. So, see you in a bit. Hi and welcome back. Doesn't that just look nice? Fields and fields and fields of... what was it? Let me just check. It was corn. We can see here. So we have sunflowers here and corn there. I think it's about time that we did some fertilizing. So let's get that new, not new, but that other fertilizer going. I have a solid state fertilizer and a liquid state fertilizer. And this time we're going to try out the liquid one. Yeah. put on the lights. Let's look so we can see what we do. Maybe I should look forward when I'm driving forward. Just an idea. Okay, so let's extend it out. I think it is X. Yes. I must admit, although I'm not a farmer and for all intents and purposes couldn't see myself as doing any kind of real farming, I do find it quite cool that these pieces of equipment, these pieces of equipment, they can be folded and unfolded like this. I'm going to... The thing is, let's just kill the engine. I can't actually remember whether I fertilized these fields last time or I didn't. So I'm going to do a quick test and then I'm going to get back to you, and then we can decide, or I can decide, whether we should continue fertilizing or not. So yeah, see you in a little while. You can go get another cup of coffee. Like, you know, farmers drink coffee all the time. So does teachers, I think. But yeah, get a cup of coffee and then come back to me out here when you are finished. Welcome back. As you can see here, I have done a little bit of fertilizing. Just this little snippet here. I can't zoom in anymore on the little map, but as you can see, this fertilization part here has a different color. You can actually see different colors here. So these little snippets here haven't been fertilized on my first pass. My mistake. And also these little snippets here. Snippets here, snippets here, and snippets here. I don't think it's gonna make a difference, because these parts here are not going to get give me a bigger yield as the rest of it. But as you can see, the most part of it has been fertilized. So this has been fertilized on the first round. This has been fertilized on the second round, and now this is fertilized on the third round. So when this is done, there's nothing more to do on these fields than wait and get them done, get them harvested. So let's continue on that. We're going to see it from the outside because I think it's easier. We're going to start it, and then I can show you what I actually meant. I think in the last video I said that normally I turn off these spraying fertilizers when I am turning, because otherwise I'm going to waste fertilizer on the ground, and that's not good. As you can see, if I continue, it's going to keep spraying, and obviously I don't want to do that. Well, I can actually see where I was last time. Nice. So I think, as in the last part, the last couple of videos I did, yeah, right, Michael, 2 videos. I might going to do the first field, this field here with you, and perhaps also the second field, but I'm going to do the third field off cam, because there's no point in you seeing me doing the same thing on 3 fields. Also, the last field is the largest one, so it's going to take the most time. And I would still like to keep these videos somewhere below 30 minutes. I know the last video was 31 minutes, but that's all in all. So yeah, something like that. So this is also a little tip when you're using the sewing machines that give you the first couple of passes. That was just gibberish. What I said there. When you use the sewing machines that will also fertilize the field, it's not that important for you to turn off the sewing machine when you drive around outside your field, because it's not going to put neither it's not going to sow or to fertilize anything but your fields. So but with these fertilizers here, and that goes for both the solid fertilizer, this spraying fertilizer here, just going to make sure that I get it all like that. Sorry, where was I? Yeah, with the solid fertilizer, the spraying fertilizer like this, and so on and so forth. Also the slurry and the manure, all of those have that thing in common, that they're going to spray anywhere you go as long as they are turned on. So that's one thing to consider. You can get an attachment for the slurry tanks that will enable you to just let me get this just going to get it folded back while I drive around. You can get an attachment for the slurry tank that will enable you to cultivate the field at the same time. So of course, not of course, but in that case, you will not need to be so careful where you fertilize, because it will also, at least as far as I know, it will also be restricted to the areas where you actually have a field. So let's get going on this field also, like that. Yes. Let's go inside so we can talk. Now, of course, in a true simulator, I wouldn't be able to, no, on a real field, in a real tractor, on a real field with a real liquid fertilizer, I wouldn't be able to go inside and outside the tractor like I do here. But on the other hand, in real life, I would also have the option to I would have a much better idea of how far my reach is with these machines, because I am much better capable, I have much better possibilities to options to look around. Here I have to use the mouse or the arrow keys in order to in order to get anywhere, so in order to look around. So it makes it a bit harder for me. So I'm pretty comfortable by going outside like this, even though it is sort of in a sense a little bit cheating. When I'm done with this, this field here, I'm going to do the rest off cam. We're just going to check whether I did a really good job If I have a lot of patchwork to do, I obviously didn't do a really good job. But if there's only minor holes in my coverage with fertilization, I think I did a pretty okay job. So, and then I'm going to get back to you discussing what will happen next. Obviously, the next step, the immediate next step, will be to harvest these fields. I think that is almost self-explanatory. But in the long run, I think I'm going to make some. I think the next idea is to have some fields with wheat in it, maybe perhaps barley on one field and wheat in another. The sowing machine I have for that purpose does not fertilize the fields, so I think we're going to have to fertilize the fields first. Maybe I will use the strategy of cultivating and then fertilizing, something like that. I just wanted to show you something really I think is really cool, and that is when you are inside the cockpit like I am right now. There are actually a lot of interactive gadgets in here that you can look at. For example, you have the dashboard down here where you can see the fuel amount, the rotation of the engine, the RPM, the velocity, your speed. But you also have this little measuring device out here where you can see how much liquid fertilizer there is in this tank that I'm using. And I can show you there's similar device on the back of the fertilizer. On this one here behind me, I'm going to show you that when I turn around. The only problem is in this respect here is that I really don't know which one it is going to use first. Yeah, I think that's okay. Alright, so let's go inside and take a look. You can see that it is behind me here. There it is. So it's going to use this tank first, which is good, because then I can see out here on the front when it's time to go in and refill. So I'm going to continue, and then I'm going to check back with you in just a bit. So see you around. Go get that cup of coffee once again, and I'll talk with you later. Welcome back. I trust it was a good cup of coffee you got yourself there. As you can see, I'm finished. I have positioned my spraying apparati here. I use roughly half of it on that field out there. I'm not sure whether that is good or bad, but as you can see here, on this field I did a pretty decent job. On this field I also did a pretty decent job. These patches here were there before. You can see they are bright blue, but here there are some patches that I didn't get so good, so that's not so good. But I'm not going to deal with it because I'm going to waste a lot of liquid fertilizer by doing that, and I would say it's not that important. Of course, in the long run, you will get you will get a higher yield also on those patches by getting the 3 times fertilization done, but in all honesty, I don't think you'll get that much for it anyway. So I'm going to off cam, I'm going to sell this bale collector here, because this is for squared bales and I can't really use that yet. Here I have the one for round bales. This is the collector for round bales. This is, as far as I remember this is the this here is my cultivator. When it unfolds, it deals a pretty good yield. This is my what was it called? Tether, I think, or something like that. You use it when you're when we want to make grass into hay. This machine here will turn it around, turn the grass around, so that it can better dry. Then over here we have a windrower. It will take the grass that we have and then turn it around, so it sort of put it in a straight line so we can pick it up more easily. It will cover quite an area when it's unfolded. And these are the mowers themselves, the grass mowers. I really like this system where you have this part here can be interconnected with this part here, so you sort of have a really large area to cover with it. I think also off cam I'm going to add some kind of building here on this patch of grass here, long patch of grass, for to put my machines in, because in that moment we begin to get hay, straw and all kinds of bales. I'm going to put them inside that coverage here, right besides the my storage of fertilization and corn. And so I'm going to need that space here, and so I can't have all this equipment standing here because obviously something else is going to be here. So I need some kind of shelter for the vehicles. Yeah. All right. So the plan for the fields, Mike's plan for the fields in the upcoming episodes. Of course, obviously, when these crops are fully grown, we're going to have to harvest them. And afterwards, I think this field here will be best suited for for grass. And on this field here, I think perhaps I will... yeah, there's a patch here where I didn't sow anything. Stupid me. I think I'm going to have perhaps barley here, and then wheat on this field over here. Hope you have enjoyed yourself here on this lovely day with me. Now the hailing is done. Hail. No, now that the bad weather is gone, we can continue our work on the fields. Obviously, I will get back to you when we need to harvest, and then you can join me there. Yes, so see you around. Hope you had a nice time, and hope you'll come again.